And then he goes outside the house and is like calling for Shinobu, and she
Like how
doesn't
he's
show
just
up.
yelling at his shadow on the ground. Shinabu! Shinabu!
Literally, that part from Community where it's like, look at his shadow, look at his shadow.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Anime Club After Dark, the podcast that delves into all things anime, manga, and otaku culture related. I'm your host, Alex, but you can call me Senpai. I am joined tonight by our poser extraordinaire, Natai. What are you reading, Natai?
God, there's so much fucking porn. This is Monogatari, by the way. God, it's so fucking horny. Anyway,
Yeah.
didn't see you there.
Yeah. Anyway. This is my favorite Monogatari figure. Just the sundress Shinobu.
Don't show the you know what.
Oh, it does have the panties.
Don't.
I'm not gonna show it, but it does have the panties. But
I
yes,
can never know with you.
But I'm gonna have her. She's gonna sit right here and watch me the entire time.
Oh, looking at you
Natai,
with a disgusted face, with a post.
It's been 18 months since we started doing our Monogatari spoiler casts, and we're finally at the end.
Damn.
It's Zoku Owarimonogatari.
Holy fucking shit.
It's hard to believe. So on the podcast, and I've talked about it recently, this is number one, the longest project we've had, and it's certainly the biggest we've had in scope. If I had to just take a guess at how long we've been, if I put all the episodes side by side and watched them all in a row, it's got to be at least 20 hours worth of content, right?
Fuck, I should have pulled up statistics and shit to celebrate the end, Fuck. That would have been really cool. We released 16, 18 episodes of Monogatari?
I don't know exactly, because I know we've split a few of the parts that were actually one individual part into multiple parts because of how long they were.
That's right.
We did that with the second season because of how long it is. I think you split it into 3 different episodes. And with Owari, we split that into 3 as well. I don't know. I'll have to go back. I do know that once this goes up, I'm going to have a separate playlist on our YouTube channel that just has all of these episodes in a row, so you can watch them all. I'll be sure to link it down below as well.
So you have a gajillion hours of us talking about Monogatari to listen to.
Exactly. But yeah, let's get into it, man. Zoku Owarimonogatari.
AKA continuation of end story.
Fucking I know, right? I mean, I don't think for the technical info, there's really much that needs to be said. However, the music this time was composed by Kei Haneoka, who also did the music composition for Monogatari.
And Owari.
And Owari, yes.
Also, a very small note that I read about while preparing for the episode. So again, Akiyuki Shinbo has always been the director of Monogatari, but he co-directed, I think, most of them with Itamura. I don't remember the full name, forgive me. And Itamura left Shaft right before Zoku to David Production with a bunch of animators, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So this is one of the very few parts of Monogatari where it's just Akiyuki Shinbo.
Yes, and I think it shows. There's a lot of trippy sequences throughout this. I don't know what Akiyuki Shinbo smokes, but it's pretty good shit.
I'd love some of that shit.
Also, the release thing, the way this was released was a little bit different. So this was originally released as a movie.
Yeah, as a movie in Japan.
In Japanese theaters on November 10th of 2018. It was later re-edited into a 6-episode TV broadcast on May 18th of 2019, and I believe on Japanese TV, at least, all of those episodes aired on the same night.
On the same night, yep.
They aired all in a row. Fun fact: this Zoku Owarimonogatari is still outside of Japan, not available on any streaming service whatsoever. The only way to legally watch this outside of Japan is to buy the Blu-rays.
it's the only part of Monogatari, aside from Koyomi, I suppose. But that's kind of a fucking offshoot thing. But that's the only part. This is the only season, quote unquote, Monogatari that you can't watch online on Crunchyroll, which is kind of shit. It's been fucking 3-4 years since it came out.
Well, I mean, it
It's a
came
shame.
out originally in 2018, so it's been 5 years.
5 years, yeah, and we still. So Crunchyroll, please give the
Please.
people what they want.
Yeah, the only way to legally watch it outside of Japan, at least that I know of. I don't know if there's any countries or like regions on the planet where it is legally streaming on some streaming service. But I know that at least in North America, and obviously in Europe and in the Middle East, it's not available on any legal streaming service.
Which is a
So
shame.
that sucks. Yeah, which is a shame.
Yep.
The OP is 07734, which is just hello backwards on a calculator.
Yeah, which is cool.
Uh,
Who's singing it
um,
though?
Singing is a very loose term, Natai. It's Hiroshi Kamiya, the voice actor for Koyomi. He's not really singing so much as he is just saying random, like, I don't know, like sayings, like Japanese
No,
sayings
there
about
are actual
regret and
lyrics.
time.
It's reversed. It has the reverse effect, so it's
That's true.
gibberish.
It
But
is
if you play the
reversed.
song back, it does make sense in terms of lyrics, which is pretty
Which
cool.
they do this on the Blu-ray as well. I don't know if they did it in the obviously there were no subtitles in the original Japanese broadcast, but on the Blu-ray versions, something that they do that's really cool in the OP is they actually have the subtitles on screen, but they're mirrored,
Yeah,
so you can't actually read them.
it's pretty sick.
Nice little
Also,
like meta stuff. I love it when they do meta stuff with the subtitles.
yeah, it's just cool shit. Like I remember back in the old days with the subtitles, you'd have some crazy shit of like the camera panning around the character, and the subtitles will pan around as well. It's like, what the fuck
Yeah.
are you doing?
I also like they would have like if a character like it was a female character that was showing a lot of cleavage like and it was near the bottom of the screen, they'd have the subtitles on either side of the boobs. That was
Man of
always
culture, I
great.
suppose.
Um Also, this was the OP was composed by our old friend Satoru Kosaki.
Yeah, which like that was a real like I will say like this OP is definitely not one of my favorites, not by a long
It's
shot.
definitely it's unique though. It's very
It's
unique.
very unique. I do love the visuals. The song itself is not something I'll probably listen to on the side, but I really enjoy the beat and the actual music in this OP. Like not the vocals necessarily, but the how the beat is constantly rising in intensity, and it's like there's something very dreamlike about it, which I really
I like
appreciate.
how so it uses a lot of the that ED visual style that we've kind of become
Yeah,
used to with Monogatari, but it's actually animated. Whereas like in a lot of the EDs, it's just the silhouettes of the characters in this particular
like
style,
very
just kind of
simple rigging.
hanging
Yeah,
out, maybe doing some basic animations, but there's like actual complex animations being done with
yeah.
this style in this OP, and it's really cool to
It's
see.
it's a really cool OP visually. Not one of my
Mm.
favorites, but also got a lot of really cool references in it. Like how you see, we'll get to it later, but with with Shinobu and the castle one, there's a lot of cool visual shit going on. But yeah,
Hmm. The ED is Azure by Trisail, and I really don't have too much to say about it. It's just it's
I
there.
like this song a lot.
I like
I
the
came to that
song. The
conclusion that
ED
the
I could
song
take or
is
leave.
really nice.
The ED I
Yeah,
could take or leave. The song I think is something that I would definitely listen to just by itself, though.
yeah, it's like Monogatari never had the greatest EDs. Some of them were really good, but like, well, but the really really solid like good ones are not. That's not the majority of these. Most of them are just like fine. They're just good.
Hmm. I think
You know.
for Monogatari in general, a lot of the EDs are songs I would there's really good songs,
Yeah.
and it's just as an ED I could kind of take it or leave it.
Well, some of the, like most of it, I think they're like two or three that are like legit fantastic. Like the Bake ED, I think is awesome. I
Yes,
love it.
the
Uh,
original Baka ED is great.
Terrific. But yeah, but most of them are just fine. And this one falls in the camp of it's fine, but I really dig the song.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it, man. Episode 1.
Yeah. Episode one.
And it kind of starts off right where or right after Awari ended. Koyomi is in between high school and college. He's got his few days off between that, and he's just kind of reflecting on like this in between where he doesn't really have a title. He's not a college student, he's not a high school student, he's just
a
him.
Koyomi Araragi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's
Which
kind of
is
reflecting on like losing one title and gaining another.
which is a cool, like, it's that's a cool perspective, because like, I get how it feels when you're like in between periods of your life and you kind of like reflecting on it, and like you're about to start a new chapter of your life. Like,
I don't know how
I
it
think
was
it's a
for
really cool
you.
monologue.
I
Huh?
don't know how it was for you, but for me personally, like when I graduated high school, I didn't go
Hmm.
straight into college. Like there's some people who like will like sign up for college and go right into that summer semester right after they graduate high school. I
Right.
didn't. I took that summer off. I didn't do like a gap year like some people do. I did like a gap 2.5 months.
Mm.
But there was that. I kind of I understand what Araragi is talking about, and that like I kind of felt the same way in that 2.5 months where it's like I'm not a high school student anymore. I'm not a college student yet. What am I?
What's gonna happen to me? How is my adolescence gonna look like? Because this is his first like steps into adolescence. This whole like chapter of his life.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. But yeah, I really like this opening monologue. I like the visual of like when he talks about how this story is like a bonus level in a video game.
Yeah.
Where but how it's scrolling past all the light novel covers of the
I
entire
love
series.
that visual, by the way, where it's panning down like the bookshelf in the library, and it's just as it's going along, and he's talking about all the like adventures he's had. It
Yeah.
highlights a different light novel cover.
There are a lot of moments in Zoku, considering it's like the final piece of like Monogatari, at least so far. This is the end of the show. There are a lot of moments where it's like very self-aware, very in how it reflects back on the entire series, which I really,
Mm-hmm.
really dig. Like near the end of this of the arc, I guess there's
Mm-hmm.
like this like very short sequence where you go past every single like title from the anime of each arc, and it's like, fuck, man, like it's a good type of fan service, because you're at
It
the end of the
is.
journey and it's like, oh shit, like look how far we've come.
I feel like that little monologue that he's given while he's doing that is kind of like a little bit of a tip of the hat to the fans of Monogatari. At least that's how it feels.
I can see that. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and we also he had says he's not getting woken up by his sisters anymore, which he says is a mixed blessing.
Every fucking arc, almost every arc, is like had a moment or two of those two bitches waking up in the morning. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
man, that's different. It's like,
Yeah.
it's a new phase of his life, right?
And then this dude who can't literally he can't go 5 minutes in his life without some bullshit happening to him. Just trying to get dressed, go about his day, and all of a sudden the mirror is like, "No, you not having a good day."
I love that visual of him like getting sucked into the mirror. Like it's very well directed and animated.
I one thing I actually liked is when he realizes that his mirror reflection isn't moving as he
Oh,
goes
that's so
back
fucking
and
cool.
forth. And it reminded me of there's an old Three Stooges routine that does the exact same thing. I actually wondered the first time I watched, is this supposed to be like a reference to that Three Stooges skit? And then I actually went back and rewatched the Three Stooges skit, and it's like it's a little too different to be a reference.
Oh, I see. Oh well.
But it's the same kind of thing where one of the Stooges is like trying to make the reflection like do stuff that it wouldn't normally do.
Does that scene, slight tangent, does that scene in Duck Soup, the Marx Brothers
Oh
movie?
yes, I know
Yeah,
exactly
it's
what you're talking
fantastic.
about.
Where they're like mirroring each other. It's like, oh, it's so fucking funny. If someone's listening that hasn't watched the Marx Brothers movie Duck Soup, please go watch it. It's the most stupid shit you'll ever see. It's
Some of those
fantastic.
old sketch comedy movies were great.
They're timeless, man.
Hmm. Um,
Anyway,
yeah.
so he
Anyway,
gets sucked
also
into the mirror.
when he gets sucked in the mirror, that trippy ass animation. Thanks, Akiyuki Shimbo.
Yeah, looks great.
I feel like I saw that little sequence. It's got to be all him, right? That's got to be all him.
I don't know. I don't even know. Like, most of this, like, his fingerprints are like everywhere.
Hmm.
It's hard to tell sometimes.
It definitely feels like something that he did himself, though. Like it's got that
Right.
trippiness to it that everything Akiyuki Shimbo touches has.
Right. Definitely, I agree.
But once he gets sucked into the mirror and we have that little trippy sequence, things are a little different, just a little bit.
I like how so Karen Bard, like he sees Karen and the way she speaks at first, like what the fuck?
She's
Like
actually
it
kind of
sounds very
nice.
trippy. Yeah, it's weird. Like it's so also Karen is short, which is like that's kind of fucking weird. Okay. And then she speaks in this like reverse type of manner, which is very strange.
It's got like a
It's like
weird
what the fuck
filter
is
over
going
top
on?
of her lyric or over top of her voice. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Um.
she's very short and aggressive, which is very strange.
Um. Yeah. Well, something to note is that like actual Karen is the exact same height as Koyomi.
She's even
And
shorter than him. Oh,
in real life,
in
like
real life, yeah,
real life,
yeah.
the real Karen is exactly the same height as him, and she's like super tall for her height. Like she's super tall and built
As well
like
as the
she.
fucking ponytail that makes her look even taller than him sometimes.
Yes, yes, yes. So that's kind of what really stands out about this. She's also somewhat nice to Koyomi, despite her like usual garish attitude, which is a little
Yeah,
different. She also is just naked in front of him, and there's no problems. It's fine.
I'm sure you had a wonderful time watching that scene, Alex.
Listen, shut up. Um,
Disgusting. And then
uh,
Tsuki shows up and
yeah,
she's
and
like,
it's like there's something off about her, but Koyomi can't quite figure it out at first. Like with Karen, it was kind of obvious. She was shorter, she was nicer. But with Tsuki, it's like she just seems off, but I can't point to it. And then he realizes, wait, her Yukata's backwards.
also during the conversation, I wrote it down because I was like, oh, I was popping off. So during their conversation, like when he was talking to her, it cut back to some shots of her poses that looked
Mhm.
exactly the same from Platinum Disco. You have those like shots of her
Yeah.
like sitting down, like like waving her legs or something. Exact same shot. So like, I thought it
Yeah.
was a really cool touch.
That was a really nice little reference back to Platinum Disco. You're right. And then
Ugh,
the creepiest thing in the world happens. We get to see Ononoki smile. That
dude,
thing.
that I was. I knew that was coming. I've seen that fucking screenshot everywhere, and still that was like fucking weird. She's like overly animated with her expressions, she's super expressive, like fucking weird.
It's
Also,
so
she's wearing
creepy.
an outfit that's kind of similar to Kagenui.
Kind
Mhm.
of, yeah. It is a little bit more
It's not a
similar.
regular
Yeah.
dress, it's like pants and
No.
shirt.
Um. I was gonna. Oh, something I was wanting to say. A big part of the reason why I grew to like the character of Mononoke is because of her performance in Zoku.
She's
I
so
wasn't.
good, yeah.
I wasn't a huge like fan of the character until Zoku, and then I realized the person voicing her is actually really good because not only can she pull off like super deadpan like Ononoki is usually, she can do like the over exaggerated emotions as well, and that's actually like kudos to her.
Sorry Ayami, man, she's fantastic, I'm telling you.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yukino Ononoki, you're
Just absolute props to her. Like she's a beast. She
yeah,
deserves way more credit than I think she gets in the
I
like
definitely agree.
anime like sphere. Um, and also we get Ononoki breaking the fourth wall twice in a row. That was great.
I was like drinking. I just almost spit my drink when she's like they were talking about Tadatsuru and she's like, that's kind of weird. And the last season he was walking on Earth, right? It's like, what are you doing? What are you talking about?
And then
But then
she references like by name references his Hanamonogatari.
yeah, it's like what the fuck? Like I love that sequence because it's like what the. This is the type of shit I love from Monogatari. It's like, oh, casually breaking the fourth wall.
Hmm. Yeah, I love it when they do the casual fourth wall breaks just for no reason. It's fine. It's fine.
So basically, like Aragi is losing his mind. It's like, what the fuck is going on? Why everyone's weird? And then he goes outside the house and is like calling for Shinobu, and she
Like how
doesn't
he's
show
just
up.
yelling at his shadow on the ground. Shinabu! Shinabu!
Literally, that part from Community where it's like, look at his shadow, look at his shadow.
Yeah, and then he's like, Shinobu is nowhere to be found. And I like he goes he like analyzes it very logically. It's like, well, it's the middle of the day. Vampires don't like the day. She's probably not going to come out. She may be asleep. Who knows? Like he's rationalizing why he's not talking
Very
to
quickly.
Shinobu in his mind.
Yeah.
And so he has that brilliant thing. Well, hold on. Mayoi is a god. Hachikuji is a god now. Maybe I should go seek out her and see if she knows what's going on. Again, logical.
Yeah.
Guess what he finds, Natai?
Best girl, that's what he finds.
Best Hachikuji. Best Hachikuji. He finds older Hachikuji. She's what, 21?
Oh man. The things she did to him, fuck me.
Yeah, I like how you wrote down here how the tables have turned. She literally starts like harassing him the same way he harassed her.
It's literally their bit but reversed. It's Hachikuji just fucking around with him and like just throwing him around in the air and whatnot. It's like, stop it.
I love watching that. And of course, again, we get to see literally the best girl, 21-year-old Hachikuji again. It's great.
I love that design so much. Like we saw that design in Shinobu Mayoji Jiangshi back in second season. But this design where it's like with the regular dress and whatnot, it's like so cute, man.
Where am I at? Yeah, I forgot where I'm at on the fucking dog.
So basically he talks to Hachikuji like, hey, this is where the shit is happening, like what the fuck is going on? And they come to the conclusion that Aragi is in a mirror world, and that they come to the conclusion this is a type of mirror world because like things are mirrored or reflected or whatnot to some extent.
Which we as the audience have been seeing because all the street signs are also mirrored as well.
Yeah, that too. And also Aragi notices because it can't read anything. And and they try to figure out what the fuck is going on. And they realize a few things. One of them is up until this point, Aragi's world and this mirror world shared the same history, it seems, because everyone's reacting to him almost the same as like the day before, you know? And like when they try to figure out why Shinobu isn't waking up is because Hachikuji like figures out that vampires don't show up in mirrors, so maybe they don't exist in this mirror world.
Oh, again, logical. I mean, as logical as a vampire can be.
I suppose. And then they try and figure out basically, again, what the fuck is going on? How can Aragi come back to the world? He wonders if Shinobu is back in full kiss shot form now that he's not like he's severed from her again, and it's like kind of worried. It's like trying to figure out, okay, how are we gonna come back to the world? And then this fucking anime, I just can't believe it. They're like, oh, you passed through a mirror, maybe like, and you saw your reflection beforehand. Maybe you need to go to somewhere else that has something to do with reflections. And they called back the fucking Owarimonogatari episode. I was like, no, you can't do this. You can't do this.
Yeah, and they did. They absolutely did. So this is another thing that just kind of makes Owarimonogatari, as much as we may hate to say it, required viewing. Because you're not going to understand this if you haven't watched Koyomi.
Yeah, because you had the episode with the bath in Kanbaru's house.
Kanbaru's house, yeah.
Yeah, that her father saw his like future wife in it or whatever, like that whole fucking bullshit. And it's like, oh, let's go to her house and we can maybe that'll bring me home. And that's like the first episode, pretty much.
That's pretty much how the first episode ends. So we get to the second episode with Koyomi going to Kanbaru's house, and immediately the rainy devil attacks him. The rainy devil's back.
I love that fucking sequence. It looks so good. Like the animation is smooth, you know,
very really buttery smooth. Yeah. And like that like raincoat thing from the first scene, it's so evocative. I don't know why I find it like so unsettling.
Eerie?
There's something about that design is so very unsettling when you
love
see
that
it.
Design because you can't see her face in it.
Yeah,
and,
you can't see the face.
You see that big ass arm, and you're like, you know, it's Kanbaru over there. But that was the cool thing back in Bake, that like the first time you actually see her face when she's the Rainy Devil, it's just her. You know, she doesn't turn to something else. It's just Kanbaru's face, but it's all covered in shadows.
Yeah.
I love that visual.
And also, Koyomi does notice that when the Rainy Devil attacks, the monkey arm is not reversed. It's still on the same arm that it was back in his real world, shall we say? I know you're starting. We're piecing some stuff together here, Natai. We're detectives. Call me Cole Phelps.
In the words of Kronk, it's all coming together.
It's all coming together. And who should save him but Black Hanekawa?
God damn, she's so hot.
Yeah, we get to see Black Hanekawa in all her glory. I also like how Koyomi comes to the like revelation that she's not reversed either.
Yeah.
And that, so apparently, and of course we've never been showed this, but apparently Hanekawa's boobs are 2 different sizes.
So fucking stupid. That was the stupidest shit.
Which I'd like to point out is something that's actually like a real thing. Most women's boobs are not 2 identical sizes. One is usually just a tad bit smaller than the other. But I like how it's very subtle, but I noticed.
So fucking, so it's like, oh, like the boobs are reversed. Something's up. It's like a fucking Aragi. God damn it.
I love that Koyomi would notice something like that, though.
I love when she saves him, like, because the energy drain is like drained, duh. And it's cuts to this almost like Resident Evil-esque type of screen where it's like his health is very low and he's about to die. It's such a cool touch.
That's a nice little touch too, yeah. And I also just like Black Hanekawa is still Black Hanekawa, right? Like she's still talking in the nya cadence.
Yeah.
And she's also just as cheeky as she is in the real world. Like she's like, I could tell you, but I'm not going
to. Also when Aragi is like talking to her, trying to figure out what's going on, he's like, is there some world? What do you know? It's like, I'm not gonna tell you.
It's a secret.
It's like, I'm not telling you. It's a secret, right?
Which is also like not really reversed from how we know Black Hanekawa is in his own world.
Yeah, it's kind of the same.
So again, another little subtle hint. And after this like encounter, Araragi's like, well, let me go do some research at the library. And of course, not paying attention to anything around him, he doesn't realize until he gets there, all the text in the books is reversed. Now, I thought, just thinking about this logically, I thought, well, why not just take the book into the bathroom and hold it up to the mirror to read it?
God, that's not comfortable. You know that.
I'm not saying it would be comfortable. I'm saying you could read it like that, though.
You can't take so many books from the library like that.
I'm just saying, where there's a will, there's a way. If you really needed to read a book that bad that had mirrored text, you just hold it up to a mirror and read it.
Anyway, Arag goes back home.
And guess who he finds there? Math.
Oh, fucking short-haired math. Literal math. Short-haired math this time.
Another Nisio Isin haircut, by the way.
I like this design a lot. I'm not gonna lie. I like the design of Sodachi.
So the only Nisio Isin haircut design you didn't like was Nadeko's.
That forehead, man, it looks so bad like that. I'm sorry, not sorry. But yeah, he meets Sodachi, who for the past 10 years apparently was staying with the Aragis, and she seems very happy.
Unlike her real self.
Yeah, right. Also, apparently she has like higher scores in math in this mirror world, as opposed to in the real world where she lost to Aragi in that.
Which is a big part of the reason why she was so pissy. I do want to talk about, so they have like this discussion, right? Koyomi and Sodachi, they talk about how like Sodachi is super happy that she's actually part of a family, right? But deep down she doesn't feel like it's real. She feels like it's a lie.
Which again, we know her backstory from Owari, and it's like, what is going on here? What are we seeing actually in this world? Why is Sodachi so different?
When I first watched this, I really thought, because that whole like sequence of the discussion that they have just made me think, oh God, he's gonna seek out Kaiki.
Really? How come?
because they
she's
brought
a
up
fake.
how because they brought up how it feels like a lie, but it also, and then like Sodachi says something similar to, I don't know what the exact line was, but it says something like it's a lie, but I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, that's true.
And I thought,
Interesting.
oh, this seems like Kaiki's wheelhouse right here. Because he's the one that's always going on about how fakes are better than the real thing.
Holy shit! I now think it clicked with me why we don't see Kaiki in this arc by the end of it. Now it's like we'll get to it, but now it's like it makes sense now. Kaiki isn't in this arc actually. Holy
Yeah.
shit!
It actually
Never
makes
mind,
sense
we'll
as to
get to
why
it.
some of the other specialists aren't in the arc either.
That's right. We'll get to it.
Uh,
So back at the shrine, Hachikuji Aragi shows up again to try and see what the fuck he can do about it, like this situation. And we see Hachikuji, but we also see Nadeko, or rather, literally Kuchinawa. Nadeko is
yes.
again with the white hair and whatnot.
Shasha.
And Shasha, listen, oh my god, Kananazawa fucking knocked it out of the park in this fucking section. I love her
Yes, she
dialogue.
did. Like, can
She's
I?
so good.
We heap a lot of praise on Takana Hanazawa on this podcast. I think with
Rightfully
due
so.
course, rightfully so. Yes, because like the woman is like the queen of like voice acting. Like she really is, and like this just proves it.
The
She can do
range, dude.
sad.
Holy
She can
shit.
do sad. She can do happy. She could do just everything, and it's so good. This is like you wrote it down here, and I agree. 10 out of 10 performance.
Yeah, I loved her performance in this arc. It's like awesome.
And also, we got, like you said, Kuchinawa. I always want to call him Kuchikawa. I don't know why. Kuchinawa.
Kadokawa.
Yeah, right. Kuchinawa, also being kind of snarky and cheeky. I like the scene where they start drinking, though. That was funny.
And Hachikuji is just absolutely like hammered. She's like, drinking so much. Or fucking sake, I guess. I don't know what the fuck she was drinking.
And I like how Koyomi's like, this was all offerings, right? And she's like, yeah.
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 So basically, Kuchinawa talks about how she's the previous god of this shrine, and like when talking, when they keep talking and bring her up to speed, she talks about how she kind of wonders about how mirrors not only the show reflected image, but a truth to some extent.
Mm.
It's not
Which is
about
some
like
deep shit. She was smoking that
it's
good shit.
but bro, that's anyway, and I kind of like that sort of like observation she had. It's not about like reverse being like from left to right, right to left, but it's a
Mm.
different side of something you're looking at. There's no right side; both exist and both are correct. She always says we're reflections, not illusions, which is like,
Which kind of
getting
tracks
philosophical
with a lot
here.
of what we've been seeing with some of the other people that Koyomi has met so far. They're not necessarily reversed. You're seeing other sides of them.
Yeah, yeah, and then it's
Like you're
like he has
you're
this like
seeing you're seeing Karen's insecurity reflected in her like reduced height. You're
yeah.
seeing well, Black Hanakawa is literally just the opposite of how Hanakawa herself acts in public.
I love that moment where he like literally has a eureka moment where it's like it cuts to him being in the fucking like tub. He's like eureka.
I forget who
And
that
yeah,
was that actually it wasn't Pythagoras, was it? There's someone that actually happened to. They're in the
I'm
tub and they
looking it
figured
up.
out something that's where the term eureka moment comes from.
I'm pulling it up. Keep going.
But yeah, I love it too. It's a great little thing where Araragi like realizes it.
Yeah, then he literally realizes that this is not necessarily a mirrored world. It's just he's seeing different sides of all the people that are in here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Tsuki is the same because she only has one side to her, which is the apparition side.
Which this like realization that he has is kind of how the episode ends and episode 3 begins.
Archimedes. I don't know how you pronounce
Archimedes,
it.
yes.
Archimedes, yeah.
It had to do with something about discovering how density works. Like he realized
Is it with water? Because
he realized
got
it when
into...
he got into a tub and he watched the water level rise. Are you actually going to go try this out in the tub right now?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he was trying to figure out something about how to measure density, and he saw himself get into a tub full of water, and he saw the water rise when he got in, and he's like, I can just measure how much water is displaced to figure out how to measure density. And that was like his eureka moment. And like, according to legend, I don't know if this actually happened or not, but according to like legend, Archimedes like jumped up out of the tub and yelled eureka. And that's where the phrase eureka moment comes from. And it's, hi, are you okay?
Yes.
This bathroom break brought to you by Shinobu. Here we go. Look at this right here. Oh, yeah, look at this vampire. Here he comes. He comes back.
I had to pee real bad. Sorry.
It's okay. I mean, I just think that's a really cool reference where we have the actual eureka moment. Like I said, I don't know if that, I've never known if that like moment with Archimedes is real or if it's just some kind of like myth, like the apple with Newton.
So episode 3.
So episode 3 happens, yeah. And like this, it starts with Koyomi kind of going over like his eureka moment about how he's realizing what the nature of the world is. It's not really just showing reflections, it's showing like opposite sides of people or their other sides. So we see Hachikuji as a 21-year-old who is harassing Araragi instead of the other way around. We got
because there's a side of her that is actually like 21 years old because she grew as time moved on, you know.
Yeah. Kaden feels well, she looks shorter because like she has insecurities about herself, and so she kind of manifests that as looking shorter and weaker than she actually is. Nadeko has Kuchinawa still as a part of her because of her let's just call it insanity.
Yeah.
I guess really it's her obsession with Araragi, I guess.
It's also, I think they even sort of literally say like multiple personality disorders that you know.
Well, they also say the same thing with Black Hanakawa as well, like because we see her come back. Well, Hanakawa come back as a loli later in this.
Yeah, they touch on it later when it's like Hanakawa's different sides and they all manifest slowly, you know, in this world. And then
Kambaru still has Kambaru still has those negative emotions inside her. That's why she's the rainy devil. Mononoke has been emotional this whole time. She just hasn't had a mechanism with which to show it.
And then he's like pondering about Sodachi, and it's like, oh, she's happy here because that's what she always yearned for, like a happy family life, you know.
Because she never had it.
Yeah. Really cool realization, and like sort of like gives you a new perspective on this world that we're exploring.
And then Hachikuji kind of wonders out loud what happened to this world's Araragi. And then Araragi, wait a minute, where's Ogi? I haven't met Ogi yet.
Yeah, I know. It's like, God damn, I just finished dealing with this bitch.
And in the other world, like Ogi was kind of his other side, his doubts and insecurities and regrets about himself.
Yeah.
So he's kind of thinking, well, maybe Ogi just manifests in this world as me.
I wonder.
I also like that after all this happens, Koyomi goes back home, takes a shower, and he goes back to his room and he finds Sodachi sleeps in the same room with him.
Did you see that like on the wall next to her bed there are like all these math equations that she wrote on the wall? That's so cute.
Also Sodachi is ooh, she's a little clingy and needy.
She's a lot. Don't get me wrong. It's cute, but it's a lot.
It's a little bit much. And then they have, as they're kind of falling asleep in this little bunk bed, they have another like, this is a kind of discussion you'd have when you're high, I think, about the nature of mirrors and what they actually do. Tell us about that, Natai. It's
good shit, bro.
No, I like how she says, like, you only really see a percentage of the original image that a mirror is reflecting because obviously the mirror absorbs some of the light that it reflects. So you're not seeing 100% of what's being shown to you. So it's almost like a blurry reflection of who we really are that you're seeing in the mirror, which is true. Mirrors do reflect a large percentage of the light that they receive, but they also absorb some of it too. So you're not seeing things exactly as they are.
Yeah, I did not know that till watching this.
Do you know why in the original Vampire Legends, vampires didn't appear in mirrors?
Why?
Because mirrors used to be made with silver.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
That's
used
cool.
to, in order to make like the super reflective surfaces, they used to have to use silver to make it, and that's why vampires wouldn't appear in them, because they had a coating of silver all over them.
Oh, I didn't know that. The more you know.
Hmm. Fun fact. And then as they fall asleep, and I guess I don't know how long they're supposed to be asleep for, but it's the middle of the night, and Ononogi comes into the room and is like, "Psst, wake up, bitch."
Wake the fuck up, samurai. We got a city
and
to
I
burn.
and I like how you immediately know she's like to the normal Ononoki, because she refers to Koyomi as
Oni
Devil Boy.
Oni-chan.
Oni no
Yeah,
Ni-chan.
Oni Oni-chan. I love that. And again, with the fucking posed look, she's back to normal, I guess.
Thank God, because
And
I
she
couldn't
tells her
take too
that,
much more of the smiling Ononoki.
and she tells her that she can take him to Shinobu, which is like, oh, so Shinobu is here.
Um, yeah. Then she's like, Koyomi's like, why are you like this? Well, I noticed you were like reacting very weird to me, so I updated my persona.
And she's like, I also noticed you didn't take my pants off. Thanks. I'm like, why?
I
Why?
mean, I would. Just saying.
And then she talks about how she can't really act
Just
up, like change her personality that much. Otherwise, like she's afraid that stuff it will disrupt like the reality around her, like how if the darkness shows up when like things are out of order or something like that.
yeah, she
And
actually mentions it. Like she's like afraid that if she makes it too obvious that she's different, the darkness is just going to come snatch her up.
and then she's like, "Oh, you promised to take me to the beach." I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about? God damn it!"
Because he wanted to see her
And
in a bikini, of course.
ugh. And then they arrive at Kiss Shot. I mean, Shinobu's like home, the cram school. Only the cram school is a Disney castle, I guess.
Yeah, a Disney-esque like Western style castle for some reason
I know,
in the
right?
middle of Japan.
And there they find
I
actual
had
Kiss Shot.
we'll get to it in a minute, but I have questions. It almost seems like a plot hole, but I'm willing to hand wave it. But we'll get to it here in a second, because that's how episode 3 ends, and we get into episode 4. Shinobu is a literal Disney princess. Um,
She's a human in this world.
she's human, which begs the question. Shinobu, aka the original Princess Acerola, was born several hundred years beforehand. How is she still alive if she's still a human and if she was never a vampire?
It's not a plot hole. Because this is just a side of her that was always there.
Okay.
There was always a
Then
side
what?
of her character that was a human.
Okay, then why was she in Japan if she was human and she never became a vampire?
But later in this arc, we figure out the lifespan of this world, so to speak.
Mm.
So it's not a plot hole.
It's not really, but you have to admit, when you first or this is all first laid out to you, you have questions. You have questions.
Sure, I had a lot of questions.
But yeah, I also like that she's like, I can't let you see me. I'm so beautiful, you'll kill yourself.
God, she's so fucking hot, man. Holy shit.
You don't even get to see her. You see like her lips and her legs, and that's it.
You see, you see
That's
something
all you
else,
need,
man.
isn't it, Natai? That's all you
That's all I
fucking
need.
need.
With Kiss Shot, that's all I need, man. That
Uh,
voice, oh, my heart.
yeah.
Basically, she's a princess, and I kind of like how like she's so beautiful and so powerful just by her presence that the longer Koyomi is talking to her, the more it's like, man, I want to kill myself for her. I want to sacrifice myself. It's like, what the fuck am I saying? I don't want to
I
die.
mean,
It's like
I mean,
her
you
presence is
kind
too
of see that.
overpowering for him.
You kind of see that the second that she starts talking, because Koyomi like approaches like a few steps, and then very instinctively and almost against his will just kneels down.
Yeah.
Um,
And Naruki is like, what the fuck are you doing?
like, what the fuck, kid?
And so what Kisra basically tells him that because Araragi is so different in this world compared to the supposed Araragi that's supposed to exist in this world, he's disrupting the world around him.
Mm.
Like we said, with Aranoki being like quote unquote back to normal. And
Mm-hmm.
she tells it like you're on the right path, but you should seek help. Like, aka, you can't confront the rainy devil by yourself.
Which is the opposite that Meme would say.
Yeah, yeah.
It's almost like Shinobu is the anti-Meme.
I mean, to some extent, I guess she is. I think Gaian is more of a anti meme, you know.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway,
we'll get to Gaian in a second.
yeah. Anyway, so she tells him, and so Aragi like goes and like he realizes that Arnoki is the one who's gonna help him. So he asks her for help with distracting Kanbaru while he tries to go to the bath in the Kanbaru household.
Mm-hmm. And that's
This is still the same episode. We're not done.
Yeah. I'm completely lost where I am. I have not been. There we go. Thank you for highlighting it for me.
That's what I do.
That's why you're here.
There's so much to talk about this fucking arc. I know. I went
know.
overboard.
It's a lot. If you guys could see the doc that we have right here, it's a lot.
There's so many. I took so many notes.
You were literally Jamie.
I know, right? I'm pulling it up.
No, but the more we kind of cut to the next morning, the morning after, and so did she is like super disappointed. She's kind of like down in the dumps, depressed, because she's being treated differently than she usually is, which tells me that in this world that's been created, Araragi is fucking her. I don't know.
She's really like, "Oh, I'm gonna strip in front of you." It's like, "Please don't do that." And she's like, "Oh." It's like, yikes.
Also worth mentioning, at this point, we have seen or heard nothing about Hitagi.
Yeah, like even Araki doesn't mention Hitagi for a second. It's like,
yeah.
I was like bugged all the way through. It's like, why is he looking for Hitagi? Why is he mentioning her?
Yeah. Yeah, and then that stupid scene where Tsukiji tries to wash Koyomi's face.
Why is that scene like almost like horror like? Did you notice like how it's like very intense, very like eerie?
I noticed that it's got a lot of the quick cuts that you see in like horror death scenes in it.
It was very strange, but basically like they're just fucking about, and while she's like washing his hair like with his face with soap and wrestling with him, he like notices the reflection of the sink. There's like a face like smiling back to him, like this very creepy smile. It's like, what the fuck? And then he goes with Ornoki and they're like on their way to Kanbaru's house.
Yeah. I also like the whole thing with the Copernican revolution bullshits.
What was that shit with the Copernican revolution? I was like, what do you want, man?
I don't know, man. It's
fucking Nisio Ace is like, oh, I just read about this thing. Let me just shove it in my text for a second.
Oh man, that was crazy. But yeah, I mean, they're kind of talking about how if he doesn't, something that he could do instead of trying to like get back to the world that he knows is just try to live in this world, right? Like try and just like live it out, you know.
I like how Onokiri is sort of like says the equivalent of it is like a transfer student who's coming to a new school, but doesn't want to be a part of the new place, and it's like not trying to lose their old like dialect from their home country or whatever. And it's like
a good way to put it.
It's a really good way to put it. And it's like maybe if you try to actually be part of this world, maybe things will like sort themselves out. But it's like I can't. There's so much shit that I need to take care of back home. I can't fit in.
Yeah.
So that's like a small discussion they have on the way to Kanbaru, and then they get to Kanbaru, and Onoki distracts her. There's like a bunch of like cool anime shit happens, and Aragi enters the bath, and someone shows up.
Yeah, he's taking the bath, and of course he's trying to do the same thing that was done in Owarimonogatari, just stare into the water because it's supposed to, show you like your deepest desires or whatever. And he's like, I'm not seeing anything. Fuck. And and then all of a sudden, just behind him, he's turning around and it's Toei, the person who's been dead for like 15 years. It's fine.
I lost my shit because at the end of Owari season 2, you have that very quick shot of Guy and Toei on the train, and I'm like, why do they show her? What the fuck? It's because she shows up in this part of her. Oh my god,
she was on the way.
She was on the way on the train. I popped off.
Oh, in more ways than one, I'm sure. Because let's be honest, she kind of hot. She's kind of hot.
I mean,
for an older woman, she hot.
I mean, there's a reason they're called MILFs, you know.
And I like how episode 5 literally just starts with Toei just casually being naked in the bath with Koyomi. That's it.
This episode, I wrote it down because it's a lot. The last 2 episodes are so much shit. They're so dense. It's like, oh my god.
Oh yeah, you're right. The last 2 episodes of this arc, which is we're in 5 and 6, we're nearing the end here. It packs, it's dense. It packs a lot of dialogue and story into 2 whole episodes.
It's a lot.
Now, granted, the final episode is like nearly 35 minutes long, but
yeah, it's crazy what they did. Like, it's crazy to me that they broadcasted it as a movie because I love Monogatari. But as we saw with Hana Monogatari, sometimes it's very hard to watch a lot of Monogatari
at once,
like that at once. Yeah, it's very draining.
It is. I mean, I'm watching it. Well, and you are too, as someone who's reading subtitles as we're watching it. I can only imagine how to do it without subtitles. Like you gotta be on it,
man.
Yeah, like you say, this episode is a lot. We got Toei and her hot MILF body in the bath with Araragi.
I kind of like her like catchphrase where she talks about how knowing and not knowing doesn't matter, according to
which
her.
Was brought up, which was brought up in Owarimonogatari too.
Yeah, and it's a stark contrast to Izuku guy and her younger sister who knows everything, and Hanekawa is like, I don't know everything, I just know what I know. It's like it's another way to sort of like go about this phrasing, and I love it. It's really cool.
It also kind of shows that just like Izuku, she is a genius, just in a very different way.
Yeah, like he comments how he gets the sense, or like the moment like Toei saw him, she already like figured out the entire situation, what's going on with him, and like this is most of the conversation. Her just kind of toying with him in some extent, and like fucking dominating him with her intellect or whatnot.
She can dominate me any day, Natai.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, yeah.
Anyway,
I give myself up for mommy.
Yes. She got those mommy milkers too. Whew. Whew. Anyway, I can't.
So she claims that unlike Hanekawa and Izuku's perspective, she's like, I know you're losing it. Stop thinking about it. Stop thinking. Don't worry.
I'm not looking up the porn. I'm not. I promise.
God fucking damn it. I don't. Oh, come on.
Fucking my hands are right here.
But where's your dick at?
I can't pull that out on
So she even says about like, with more contrast to her perspective, in contrast to Hanekawa and Gaen's perspective, they're like, she talks about them saying they're missing the facts, that there are plenty of things you know that are wrong. That's why understanding is important, which understanding is a very big thing about this arc, as we saw, because we're trying to understand more sides of all these characters we presumably knew so much about, you know.
It's basically, in a very roundabout way, her saying that understanding is more important than knowing. Knowing facts is all well and good, but understanding how you like interpret those facts is even better.
And then she's like, oh, by the way, this bath is just a regular bath. There's no magical properties to it.
Just it's fine. It's fine.
But hey, at least he got to be Toei, so that's cool.
And she washed his back. He got a MILF to wash his back.
Yeah, pretty much is like, so you wanna come on the shower and like I'll wash your back, and I'm like, yeah.
Mm. Mm. It's a good thing he had that like towel over his crotch because. Anyway,
I like how this conversation also circles back to Hana Monogatari because she talks
there's a
about
lot of Hana Monogatari references in this conversation.
yeah, definitely because she like talks about how her family for generations specialized in creating monsters, and that goes back to her giving Convert the Rainy Devil part,
Mm-hmm.
and she talks about the Rainy Devil is also a different side of herself, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool like in the lead up to her like washing his back, and she also talks about it's how you look at your own back, you know. She brings that up. It's like sort of like, you know, trying to connect that part of the conversation. I thought it was neat.
Which is
um
also connected to mirrors because you can use a mirror to look at your own back.
yeah. And then she's like, literally the Rainy Devil was her own mirror. She's like, that's how she sees it, because it's just this curse that was like brought down by the generations.
And it's always like, man, that Conbrew, she's gonna have to face herself someday. Hana Monogatari, am I right?
Monogatari.
Oh man.
And Arrogant's like, oh, where's the rest of the Rainy Devil? Stay tuned to Monogatari, my dude.
Yeah, stay tuned. You'll see. Uh,
And she literally quotes the whole monologue at the beginning of Hana Monogatari, where Kanaburo talks about how her mother told her that if you can be medicine, turn into poison, otherwise you'll just be plain water, which is literally from Hana Monogatari. She even talks about how that. So again, just like
beautiful
bringing
line.
stuff together. Yeah. And it's cool we get this new sort of context to it, because Toya literally says that she even though she taught Kanaburo this way of thinking, she feels like she directed it at herself more than her daughter, which is really interesting to see how like she has these sort of like insecurities as well.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then she vanishes in the middle of the conversation, and like Koyomi's like, yo, what the fuck? And then we as the audience see on Koyomi's back, she has scratched in like into his back the high school,
The
the
name
name
of
of
the
the high
school.
school.
Yeah. Which is
Which
a really cool visual.
kinky.
God damn it. I love the quick cut to Ononoki being like, you fucking went and took a bath and that's it?
You fucking
like
moron.
So disappointed. She's so disappointed.
Yeah, it reminds me of that scene. And they actually kind of do the same like camera angle where you're kind of looking up at Ononoki as she's talking. It reminds me of that scene in Evangelion where Asuka just looks down at Shinji and goes, "Pathetic."
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Literally, I love how it's like, and I love how he's like visualized as like a small kid. It's like, no, I promise it happened. It happened. And she checks his back. It's like there's no marks. And and she's like, she thinks his line, and he asks her to look in his eyes, and then cuts to the Clockwork Orange reference of him, like, you know, with these eyes wide open like that. Fucking sick.
Another great reference in the Monogatari series. Yeah, but then Ononoki's like suggesting like we should split up. You go to the school, I'll try and get more information from Shinobu. Sounds like a plan. And then
another fourth wall break.
Another fourth wall break. She says, there probably won't be a fight scene on the way to where you're going, but be careful anyway.
And then the stupidest scene this entire arc happens.
No, I think you mean the best scene. I think you mean
it's all yours, dude. I'm done.
No, he goes back because he wants to change clothes because he's still in his, you know, I guess not really skivvies, but you know, he wants to change his clothes before he goes out to the school. So he actually goes and looks for his old school uniform in the closet, and he can't find it. But what he can find is a girl's school uniform, specifically the one that that Ogi was wearing this entire time. Which, do you know? That's why the sleeves were too long for her, because it was sized for Koyomi.
That's a cool detail, actually. I haven't thought of that.
That's why the sleeves were too long, because it was a girl's uniform sized for Koyomi's arms.
I haven't thought of that. Holy shit. This fucking anime, man. What the fuck? Wow. Nice catch.
Yeah, Ononoki doesn't get anything from Shinobu when she goes there, so she decides to head to the shrine, and then she finds Hachikuji, Kuchinawa, and now Child Hanakawa, literally best Hanakawa. Fuck you. Drinking, seeing like a 4-year-old Hanakawa drinking sake was pretty good.
Yay! It's fine, guys. She's not real.
Underage drinking, am I right?
Anime Club After Dark does not endorse underage drinking. Please don't do that.
Please don't do that. And yeah, that's where you get the whole thing about them talking about the multiple personalities just emerging slowly with Hanakawa.
Yeah, like Kuchinao literally says, "Oh, she's a textbook example of it." It's like, oh, they actually said it.
Yeah. Which is multiple personality disorder isn't called multiple personality disorder anymore. I forget what it's called now, but it has actually an actual different name. But anyway, I like how like they're raising a toast with each other because they know that the story is almost over, even though Koyomi doesn't realize it yet.
He's still on his way. He's on his bike. You know, he has no idea.
They know it's about to happen because they're not only breaking the fourth wall, they're fucking shattering it at this point.
And Anakawa sort of mentions how Aragi is finally understanding who is this partner of his. Like it was mentioned multiple times when Anakawa saves him. Like she's like, "Oh, like you need to find your partner or something." And now he's on his way to find his partner apparently. And then you have this fucking the fucking end of the episode. He approaches the school and he goes to the operation classroom back from Owari season 1, and there he finds fucking Ogi in the Oshino pose with all the tables behind her. And she's like, I've been waiting.
And wearing Koyomi's uniform.
Which, I mean, Hana Monogatari, again, another reference, you know.
Yep.
I love that fucking shot of her sitting with the, you know, like leg crossed with all the tables behind her, just like Oshino and Bake. It's like,
I think it would have been really cool if she had said, "You look you look like you're having fun. Did something good happen?"
Oh, that would have been sick, actually.
That would have been really good. That's actually a missed opportunity, I think, in this having her do,
because it's kind of out of her character
line.
to say something like that. That's kind of, it would have been character for her, but it would have been sick.
It would have been a nice little touch, especially since Meme doesn't show up in this at all.
Ready for the final episode?
The final episode of Zoku. Let's do it. Episode 6. The first like let's say third of this is nothing but a bunch of dialogue between Araragi and Ogi.
And boy,
is it some beefy dialogue. Holy shit.
Fucking, we got 3 pages of notes. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Go for it, Nitai.
What have I done? So anyway, yeah, episode 6. Basically, I mean, at first, Ogi is like taking the shit out of her, like they get the piss out of Aragi about like his uniform. It's like, hey, it's like, what are you wearing over there, you dumbass? And she told him that she actually asked Hanakawa to help Aragi when he first encountered Kanbaru. And then she,
it was me, Austin. It was me all along.
And then she like starts to wonder about this whole incident, how it came about, and then she starts with I can't believe they did it. And she's like, "Hey, what if all this was a dream, actually?" And he's like, "Yeah, I thought about maybe this is a dream." She's like, "No, what if the past year was all a dream?" And it's like they tried to pull that shit. Where it's like it was all a dream. It never really happened. That fucking that's a pet peeve of mine in any story where it ends with "it was all a dream." So I was like, nah, stop bullshitting me. I know this is not a shit. It's not gonna happen. And then
although with a lesser writer, it might have.
I know, right? And then Aragi's like, well, if it was a dream and I would have woken up, I would have thought to myself it was a very pleasant dream. Fuck you. It was not a dream. I know it. Don't fuck with me.
It wasn't very pleasant.
Yeah, I know, right? And Ogi's like, oh yeah, I'm just like bullshitting you.
Of course.
And when Aragi is like asks her about the uniform, he's like, wait, why is my uniform is reversed? It kind of doesn't make sense in this mirror world. And she's like, oh, I just fucked with your wardrobe. I just like stole your fucking laundry and gave you a girl uniform.
And she was also responsible for the creepy sink reflection too that smiled back at him.
So apparently she was trapped in this class, but she had some influence over the outside world.
Yeah, some power of some kind.
Class. Yeah. And Aragi is like wondering if this is the same Ogi for his world, or is this like just his equivalent in the mirror world? And she's like, no, I'm your double. And she is like, I'm your very own Ogi Yoshino. So This is the same Ogi Oshino we've seen from Owari and whatnot.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
And then they kind of circle back to that idea of a mirror only reflecting a part of an actual image, and the other part is just absorbed into the mirror or erased, as they say in this, or
Good anime.
executed.
Erased.
Erased. Yeah. And so, like Ogi says, no, it's not so much that you got pulled into another world as that you pulled 20% of another world into yours. Bum, bum, bum.
And then it's like that's her hypothesis that he sort of created this mirror world, which is like, huh. And they kind of wonder, and then they kind of toy with the idea, what if the specialists would have known about what have happened, and like, what if like would Guy lose her shit and come after them? And Ogi is like, I don't think there's any need to worry about Guy, since the memory of Toei, her memory of her sister Toei, is like also in this world, and is what caused her ghost to appear in this sort of mirror world. So maybe there's nothing to worry about with that.
Also, I also love the fact that Ogi confirms that it's actually her ghost and not her.
Yeah, it's not the physical,
which explains why the markings on Koyomi's back disappeared, because only he could see them because a ghost made them.
Cool shit.
Yeah, I know. It's a nice little touch.
And then Ogi comes to the conclusion that, like, in the mirror world is made out of regrets that all these people had. As we said, like in those centers are regrets, and that Aragi pulled those regrets he felt towards them into the mirror world. That's sort of like all these sides of these characters that we're seeing right now.
Which kind of harkens back to what he was talking about at the beginning of this arc, where he's talking about, like, you know, does he have any regrets that he's in this in-between, like, space in his life between high school and college? And it really does harken back on it. So we're not actually just seeing any, like, just his regrets, but other people's regrets towards him.
And it's interesting how, like, this is like building on, because the whole twist with Ogi is that she's the manifestation of Aragi's self-doubt and self-criticism. So all these feelings that are literally manifested into an apparition, like a person, sort of. And so we see like an evolution of that, of how his feelings of regrets towards some people manifest in this mirror world that literally like is being pulled in. He's been like he pulls into his own reality, which is really cool. I really like that sort of aspect to it.
Yeah. And they're talking about how they can, like, fix the situation. And that it's going to prove once and for all that it was the correct decision that Koyomi actually saved Araragi.
Yeah, she's like, oh, this is like a test bed to see that it was not a bad idea to let me live and not be absorbed by the darkness.
And Koyomi's like, yeah, I'm ready to move on. And she's like, well, that's why you're here.
I like how she's like and this is my purpose, to clean up after your messes, just like how you clean up after my messes.
And then, like a little bitch of all this time about being afraid of the darkness taking her, what does she do? She creates the darkness.
That was weird. She's like, oh, I pulled a piece of the blackboard over there and created like a circle of darkness. It's like, oh, all right, sure.
Okay, for someone who was terrified of it killing you last arc, you're really chummy with it now, aren't you?
She's so edgy, chummy with the darkness.
I know. It's better than being down with the sickness, though. Oh, that was terrible. I'm so sorry.
Gosh.
But yeah, the plan is that they're gonna take like this 20% of darkness and attach it to the shrine, and everything that's like not normal in this world will be pulled into that darkness.
Pretty much like the 20% of the light that gets like reflected and like executed,
Absorbed.
as she says, will like the 20% of the light that was guided to this world will be sucked into darkness, thus reversing all of this like fucking situation.
And then I love how the entire conversation ends between them, because Ogi asks what is essentially like a biting question to Koyomi, even though she knows what the answer is. She asks the question anyway, and she or she lets Koyomi actually ask the question. But Koyomi's like, well, what in the world caused me to create this like mirror world in the first place? And Ogi doesn't give him like the exact, or it doesn't outright give him the answer. She asks another question. It's like, well, who are you? And he's like, I'm Koyomi Araragi. Boom, hard cut.
Bam. Hard cut to best girl.
I know. Hard cut to Hitagi knocking at the fucking door. Where have you been all my life?
Oh, that new
Also,
design is.
Another new hairstyle for Hitagi. The pigtails.
I like
it.
the pigtails. I don't know what I think about her outfit. I will say that.
Eh, I still say best design Hitagi is the winter Hitagi from Hitagi End.
I agree. Definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah. Yeah, and Hitagi and Koyomi have that little conversation while they're walking about what caused it to happen, what caused all of this to happen in the first place. And that line, it's like it was this. Did you write it? You wrote it down here, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. It was the self that I was about to leave behind after losing my title. Damn, that's deep.
That cuts deep, man.
Yeah,
because it's like again that
it's all about unfinished business and the regret that you have from it.
Yeah, it's like again, it's like that part of your life where like in between phases of your life, like for me, it was when I finished high school. Then I had like this like few weeks or so before I got into the army. I was like, shit, I'm about to like I'm done with this part of my life. It's not coming back ever. I'll start this new part that's gonna like by the end of it, like maybe I'll be changed in some aspects. Like, fuck, man, it's kind of worrying. Like you're just trying to figure out if you're on the right path and if the things you did so far were good or good enough for what's to come next, right? It's
yeah. And I mean, I kind of experienced the same thing. Like I mentioned it before, I didn't go straight into college. I had like a 2.5 month period before I went into college after graduating high school. And there was a lot of things that I just didn't know. I didn't know that if, I graduated from high school, but does that mean I'm good enough to go to college? Does it mean that I'm going to be good enough for whatever I choose to do with my life going forward? What am I going to do with my life going forward?
Yeah. And in that moment, when he talks about the regret, he tells about all Hitagi. He tells her about all the regrets he had about, like, all the people around him, like with maybe like raised, like being an older brother to Karen, and like having regrets to about all the people he knows, like the fucking Nadeko, and excuse me, and having regrets about Sodachi and Kissha and all these different feelings of regrets that he feels to all these people that he cares so much about, right? So it's like that's sort of like what led to that creation of that world, which is like fucking powerful, man. Because regret, like regret is a very powerful feeling. It's kind of
it is.
It's as much as you feel regret about maybe hurting someone else, that feeling regret will hurt you as much, just in a different way.
Looking back at that point in your own life, are there any regrets that you have? I'm sure there's at least one. Me too.
Boy, they're more than I can count, I'm sure.
I feel like if you live a life without any regrets, it's got to be a boring life.
I guess, yeah. Like, it's not pleasant to have regrets, but just the way of life,
But the absolute like capper to this whole thing is Hitagi asking about like what was she like in that world, and Koyomi's like, well, I didn't even see her, and she's like, why? Because I don't have any regrets when it comes to you. Like,
oh, my heart, my fucking heart, I can't take it. It's so beautiful.
I swear to God, if anyone ever says that to me, I'm putting a ring on their finger ASAP.
And then what's the next thing he tells her?
We're gonna stay together forever.
And then she's like, bitch, you don't even know if you get accepted to college. What are you talking about?
Classic Hitagi, though.
Fucking bitch.
And that final scene we get with them coming to road crossing, right? And Hitagi or Koyomi just saying, and it's something very Koyomi-esque, where it's like the deep introspective thing. It's like he sometimes worries which foot to take first when the light turns green, almost like a superstition.
Yeah, it talks
And
about how
then
it feels like the body moves on without while the soul is like stuck in place because it's not sure what to do.
Yeah. And then Hitagi just kind of laughs and says, "Watch this, bitch," and just grabs his hand and jumps.
Jump!
Jump!
just leaps forward. And then you get that final monologue.
Yeah,
of
that final
Monogatari.
monologue, and you kind of have this flash of Koyomi's memories.
And the fucking title cards of all the arcs before.
And the title cards, and he's resigning himself to just leaving his unfinished business behind. Kind of savoring that aftertaste, shall we say, the blank
and moving
space,
on,
and just moving to the next step by taking a giant leap. And that's how it ends. That's Zoku
Owarimonogatari. Yeah, it's so wholesome. Man.
Do you know what's funny?
It's good shit.
It bookends the entire story because Bakemonogatari starts by Koyomi catching Hitagi in his arms, and
that's right.
Zoku ends with Hitagi taking Koyomi by the arm and throwing him across a gap.
That is so fucking good, man. Fucking Isao Issei, dude.
That's it.
What a legend.
I can't.
And that's Zoku Owarimonogatari.
That's not just Zoku Owarimonogatari. That is the Monogatari series anime as of this point. That's the whole thing. I mean,
it's been 5 years since Zoku. Unfortunately, I don't see anything on the horizon soon for Monogatari, which is a shame.
Up until recently, I would agree with you, but the fact that we're getting so many older stuff coming back, and the fact that stuff's getting remade and rebooted, I wouldn't be surprised. It may not be Shaft doing it, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Maybe. It's funny because this is, I think I said it before, but this is the first time of me actually watching Zoku, and I was kind of hesitant to watch it because this is like the last time I'll get to enjoy.
You were just like Koyomi. You were hesitant for it to end.
Yeah, because this is the end. It's like the last time I'll get to, for now, experience a new part of Monogatari in anime form. It was like, fuck, it's like it's no longer a rewatch for me. And now
it was worth the wait, though. Watching it, wasn't it?
It was. I absolutely loved it. I really, really enjoyed watching it. It was really good. It's a great epilogue because this is what it is. It's just a really good epilogue.
I think before we kind of give our final thoughts, there is one thing I want to do. I should have set this up before we started, but talk to the good people. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. I promise.
Talk to the good people. While he talks to the good people, again, we'll get to. I'm sure when he comes back, we'll get to it. But thank you to everyone who were watching us from the beginning, going over this series of Spoilercasts. Monogatari is very special to me and to Axel, as you can tell, and it's been a blast going over them and in depth and reminiscing about all the cool shit, put all the pieces together, and it's been very, very special to watch this final part. I'm sure I'll say all this again when Alex comes back, but it's
boom.
Thanks everyone for sticking with us. Yes, Alex, I've been talking to the good people.
It's time.
Oh God. What are you doing? Oh no.
Hey, listen. The Monogatari series requires a toast. We've gotten this far, man. We've gotten this far.
God fucking damn it.
I should have set this up before we actually started the recording. Yeah, we're finally here. I can't believe that after 18 months we've finally gotten here. Oh, he's back. What has he got? Is that whiskey? Oh,
a bit of whiskey, yeah. All right. This is gonna be so bad.
I also noticed you're wearing your stand necklace, your stand arrow necklace.
I am. Yeah.
Nice. Cheers.
Cheers, buddy. That was a good year and a half.
Good 18 months.
Shit.
You should have picked something smooth to drink.
I have nothing here aside from fucking whiskey.
Nice. But
This
yeah,
is what I
it's
this is what I
been
do
a
for
hell
you
of a
guys.
ride, Natai.
Wow. It's over.
It is. So this is the last spoiler cast that we're doing. However, to put a bow on all of this, Natai and I are going to be doing at least 3 ranking episodes where we're going to rank the characters, the OPs, and the different story arcs. We're going to do tier lists for all of them. Don't know exactly when that's going to happen, but that is how we're going to put a big bow on our Monogatari spoiler
That'll
cast
be our
series.
celebration round.
Yeah. There may be drinking involved in that too.
I'm down for that. It's crazy. We're done.
And I do want to thank everyone who has been watching all along. I know that there's a couple of people who watch our podcast or listen to our podcast who say they only started watching the Monogatari series because we were doing this, and they've kind of been watching along with us as we've been doing this. Thank you so much for that.
That's amazing.
I think it's great that we've gotten more people into the Monogatari series because we've done this. And I know there's a lot of people out there that only know the Monogatari series through its memes. And I feel like, yeah, they're funny, but if that's all you know, you really don't know the Monogatari series.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. If someone's still listening to us and hasn't watched it, I mean, please do, because as you can tell, even on rewatch, it's very, very enjoyable. We've literally been doing this entire thing because it's so much fun to rewatch and talk about this fucking show nonstop.
Yeah.
And like, there's a reason we talked so much about it, you know?
Yeah. What are we gonna do next, JoJo's? I do like. Well, we kind of talked about it amongst ourselves on the podcast. We really enjoy doing Spoilercast in general. And
it's just this podcast was so massive and in depth.
Yeah,
because this show deserves being like talked about. Like
it does 100% deserve like the deep dives that we've been giving it. But I also like doing these Spoilercast series for some longer running stuff. So I don't know, maybe we'll do it again. Maybe not for something as massive or as in depth as Monogatari, but something that has been running for a little while that we all kind of like.
JoJo's a good candidate.
JoJo's is a good candidate. I know I've mentioned to Shinoda about doing Naruto. Just no filler. Just no filler, just Naruto.
Listen. After this series, I think it's gonna be a bit of a break till we dive into our next long running series of Spoilercasts. But because this was a lot.
Maybe sometime later this year we'll start another Spoilercast series for something else. Maybe we'll choose something. Maybe we'll choose something kind of something that we would need multiple Spoilercasts to cover, but not something quite as long. Like I've mentioned, maybe doing Monogatari, another Shaft.
Monogatari will be a lot of fun. Yeah.
And I think we could do that in maybe 4-5 Spoilercasts, maybe.
One for the season, for the series, one for the movie, and one for Gaiden.
Yeah. We could probably do it in 3, maybe 4.
Stay tuned to Anime Club After Dark to hear more news about the next podcast.
The point is we definitely want to do this again. Not just me and Natai. I think Shinoda and John are also kind of on board, as long as we can pick something that we all kind of like. We definitely want it to be something that we're passionate about, not something that we don't like. Because one thing that I've been told, not just by our people who watch, our fans, but also by John, who edits these podcasts, is like he thinks it's fun to listen to because he can tell how passionate we are about it. So I hope that comes through to people listening.
I hope that no one will ever ask us about our opinions on Monogatari because it's all out there. You all know our opinions. We spent.
The best thing, Natai, is now you don't have to say anything because I'm going to put together a playlist and you can just give a link to the playlist. Here's like 20 hours of me talking about this.
God, what am I doing with my life? I fucking love this show, man. It's so fucking good. God damn.
Oh. Is there anything else we have to say about either Zoku or Monogatari? I will say it seems kind of weird to say, but as an epilogue, I think this does a really good job.
I think it's a fantastic epilogue. I just gave it a 9 on Mal. I think this turned out so fucking well.
I believe I gave it a 9 out of 10 as well for myself.
Yeah, I I loved it. I really, really enjoyed it. It was a very, very pleasant, heartwarming last hurrah for the show, and
Yeah,
I'll miss it.
and and you
I'll
know
miss
what?
it.
There is more Monogatari like light novels out there that have not been there's many more that haven't been
Yeah,
adapted into an anime adaptation. Maybe one day they will, but you know what? If they
this is a
never
good
are,
point.
if
Yeah,
they never are, I think that we as fans of Monogatari can be very happy with what we did get with the Monogatari series anime adaptation. I think in terms of adaptations, particularly light novel adaptations, I don't think you get much better than this. Like maybe there's a few others out there you can point to, but in terms of how much love and respect and care that the adaptation was given, this might be a gold standard, at least in my mind, for light novel adaptations.
mad respect to Shaft for sticking with it for so fucking long.
Yeah,
Mad respect.
even after like Shaft was a very different company from the start of Bakemonogatari to the end
The
here
end of
with
Zoku,
Zoku
yeah.
Owari. Like there in the interim, a lot of people left. A lot of people went to David Productions, which you can tell because their animation quality is just top notch. Um, and
But yeah,
Shaft
like,
kind of as a general like animation production company, they've definitely fallen off over the last few years, which is sad to see. Um, so, but it's great
hey,
that
they're
we
working on
have
the
this.
Madoka Magica movie 4. We'll see how that goes, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see. It's great that when you think about Shaft, though, this is probably one of, if not the first thing that comes to mind, and I think that's
Definitely.
good.
Definitely. Yeah.
And,
I
and
think,
it says a lot for a company that's been around for what 40 years or nearly 40 years at this point.
yeah. I think in a different matter, on a different matter, I think we both said our thanks to the listeners, the viewers. Thank you. I think
Mm-hmm.
also mad thanks to Shaft and Isio Isi for bringing us these fucking wonderful, deranged, crazy characters that we enjoy talking about so much. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
I like Monogatari, like literally, like sort of touched me on a very personal level. I talked about it back when we talked about Tsubasa Tiger, but like this fucking show is like something else, man. It's crazy. We're done with it
I
for
don't
now.
think there'll ever be another anime quite like the Monogatari series.
Yeah,
Madoka Magica comes close, but it's not quite there.
it's a very different type of beast, you know.
Yeah. But stylistically, story wise, I just don't think we'll ever get anything quite like the Monogatari series um, ever again, which is a shame. But I think its
Dang,
uniqueness is part of its charm.
for sure.
Anyway, yeah, that's it. That's it. That's our entire Monogatari Spoilercast series. Thank you all for dropping in to listen to us, to watch us throughout this last 18 months of us doing this. Be sure to check the description below to find links to Anime Club After Dark on Twitch, on social media, on Discord, where we talk about all things. We talk about some crazy shit on our Discord server, man.
Fucking
Uh,
Pinkertons, am I right? What?
yeah, right. Fucking Pinkertons. Um, um, also, be sure to check down below. We have a link to our merch store where you can purchase merch. Anything you do purchase there really helps out. You can have yourself an ACAD mug just like this. We also have some nice stickers, some magnets, all kinds of stuff. We have shirts. Um, you know what I should do? I should get us like. I wonder if I could commission Vix to draw us in the like Monogatari ED style, like the
Ooh,
me and
that'll be
you.
actually sick. We
I
should
wonder if
do
I could
that.
get. I wonder if I could. She could replicate that art style and just have me and you like on a couch talking about Monogatari in the ED art style.
One of us is dressed like Oshino, the other's like like Kaiki or something. I don't know. That'll be really sick.
No, I could. You could be dressed like Koyomi, and I could be dressed like Ogi.
That's pretty good. I
I
like that.
like it. I'll see if I can get her to do that. That actually might be a good like shirt to
That'll
make
be
for
sick.
some merch. Hmm.
You should have a tagline. What a story, eh?
Man, what a story, eh? Yeah, thank you all so much. It's been absolutely, it's been fun. Be sure to keep your eye out for when we do our Monogatari ranking episodes. Don't know exactly when those are coming out, but they will be coming out within a month or two after this goes out. Other than that, Natai, anything to say before we sign off?
It's been a pleasure to serve you.
It has. Cheers. Mm. Good night, everybody.
That was a...